Hi, my name is Abigail Ortega, and my presentation is on whether the word bitch should be reclaimed. The word actually started off as a female of a dog and turned into this insult towards women. Even in the definitions, it says applied to women, directed towards women, and it meant that a woman was crass or spiteful or malicious or lewd or sensual. It was used to degrade them. And how does a word go from a female of a dog to this insult towards women? How? So, because it changed from that, why can't we change it to positive? It was this word that just meant dog to now this degrading word towards women. Changing that word to something that's positive is hard, but it can happen because the word doesn't have to be negative. There's a lot of views of how the word empowers women, how learning how this word can mean something else has changed them as a person, and seeing how the word doesn't have to be something negative has changed the way they view things. I was a 16-year-old girl who was in a program where I had to make sure I was a stage manager, and I had to make sure that things were done. Things were where they were supposed to. Everything was on time. Everything was what it needed to be. And because I had to do that, I was looked at as a bitch. I was called a bitch. I was, oh, she's being bossy and bitchy. But I was just doing what I had to do. But my 16-year-old self didn't know that. My 16-year-old self was afraid to do that sometimes because I was afraid of those people to continuously call me a bitch. Because at that age, it was an insult. It made me feel less. And I know there's probably a lot of other, not only women, but men, because men get called bitches too, but men get called it in the sense of, oh, they're weak, they're less than. And so changing this word, reclaiming it, desensitizing it into this positive word makes the desensitizing is desensitizing the negative, and reclaiming the positive is embracing it. It's making the word seem like it doesn't have to be this negative word. There are the views of it's a step back in feminism. It normalizes sexism. It's having fear of it's not going to change. Having the fear of this is an insult, it stays an insult, it shouldn't be used at all. And I understand how it's linked to the whole feminism and how it can be normalized and the sexism view of it, because their fear is that the reclaiming is going to make it normal. It's going to say, oh, men can call women bitches all the time. Women can call women bitches all the time, and having this insult be okay, which isn't the point of reclaiming it. Reclaiming it is making the word into something else, getting rid of those negative connotations, making the word this I'm a strong person with strong characteristics, not this negative insult. And seeing how the word went from a female dog to an insult, why can't the word go from an insult to this positive term? And going back to how my 16-year-old self went from being afraid to doing things because I would be called a bitch to like, you know what? I am a bitch. I did what I had to do. I stood my ground. I was a strong person. I shouldn't feel bad for that because somebody wanted to call me a bitch and they meant it as an insult. I don't have to take it that way. And there's others who don't have to take it that way. The word itself, unfortunately, is commonly seen as an insult. But changing it is what can help people. It can change the way we see any word that could be negative, because reclaiming the word emphasizes it doesn't have to be negative. It doesn't have to make you a bad person. And I understand that it can be interpreted into something else. It could still be taken as an insult. It could still have all these negative connotations because it's been used that way for so long. And it's slowly moving into this other side. Like going back to the Urban Dictionary, how the first definition is an expression of emotion. Because people have started to use it in everyday language, that it's not just a insult and degrading against a person. It's like you say it in your language that expresses an emotion. So it, like I said, it doesn't have to be something negative. So reclaiming it it takes away the negative power. It takes away it's an insult. It takes away the negative effects that the word has on people. Reclaiming it emphasizes that it could be a positive. It could be like embracing what it can be and who you can be, because you're more confident and don't have that fear of I'm going to be called a bitch. And so changing the word in itself is giving reclamation of the word a better light and a better view.